morning, Mom. I don't want to forget to record it.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just cranking in my car here.
Oh, right, because you have your
Class. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All day, right?
Well, there's a class. It starts at 10. So I brought my sisters in doing the class. It starts at 10, and they'll go till noon. And then I usually do a session after. But there's not usually someone in the front room on Saturdays, so I can do my call in the front. But today there's someone training. So.
Oh, figures, eh? One day.
Well, and it's so cold that my battery's dying pretty quick on my laptop here. So.
Oh no, there's nowhere you can go and.
Yeah, I'll be able to like go in, but I'm just gonna sit out here for as long as possible. Then I'll turn my camera off and run in when I have to.
Is it snowing your way, Kim?
It's a blizzard here today.
It was here for a very short while. It was crazy, but now it's stopped.
So it's still a little bit snowy out here.
Come downstairs, bring that down.
Hi, Carissa.
Good morning, Mel. We have Tara. Oh my gosh, I'm like having a panic. I'm like watching my battery die. It's like it went from 100% to 64% in 10 minutes.
I literally had my battery replaced yesterday. It's golden. Just get it replaced. It sounds like it's on the.
I think because I'm in the car and so it was cold while we were driving here, but nightmare. And Chantel. Shocking. I was on before you guys today. Hello. Miranda. Charity.
Hey, Jess, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, I'm not listening, but I'm just dropping the kids off right now, and then I will talk or chat when I can, okay? But I can still hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, we have a
Okay,
few
bye.
people just listening in. No worries. Crystal on the mend. So our guest is joining us from the UK. I think it's 3 p.m. there around. So a few minutes. Yeah, other than that, just my week has been pretty good. Just been doing my things. What am I reading right now? Oh, Mom, I bought that book. Oh, what is it called? The Alzheimer's one. So I'll start that this week. So I have some insight for a conversation.
Might not be a good sign if you can't remember the title of the book, Jess.
True say. I have a fairly poor memory, which can be a symptom of celiac. So gluten can affect your short-term memory.
I definitely agree with the gluten affecting short-term memory. Like I remember the massive brain fog I used to get when eating gluten. You kind of just feel like you're like walking through syrup sometimes, trying to think of things that you want to say.
Or you're like mid-sentence and you're like, I don't know. I don't even know what I was saying.
Actually, like before I was diagnosed, I had a colleague who had her office right by my classroom. And she's just like, I love listening to you doing spelling quizzes because she's like, I never know what kind of sentence you're going to come up with. I was like, neither do I. So I'd like start saying something for the spelling quiz, and then I would like not know how I was going to finish it. And then I'd like come up with the most random sentences for my students to try and use the wording.
Hello, good morning. Okay, so
Hey, how you doing?
good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I made it just.
Yeah, no worries. I have I have a little spin the wheel, so I just want to, everyone who's kind of logged on so far, I just want to make sure I have your guys' names in here because I'm going to give away a copy of Joey's book. So if I don't call out your name, just let me know in the chat or unmute yourself and let me know. I have Kim, I have Crystal, I have Carissa, Belinda, Mel, Tara, Chantel, Miranda, Charity, Sarah. I don't know if I'm missing anyone, and I'll just kind of keep an eye on that as we go. Let me quickly open up my. Good morning, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. I love seeing all your faces, and it's such a beautiful sunny day. It's starting to snow here, but where is my desktop here? Yes, I'm gonna share my screen. Perfect. Okay, so I'll read through this, but just quickly let you guys know. So I obviously wrote in a couple of books over the last couple of years. And then when I put my last book out, I believe it was She Moves Mountains. I saw Joey had liked my post or something like that, whether it was through a hashtag or something. So I always go through and I see who's interacting with my page. So I went onto his page and I was like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, he has a book. So I ordered his book, read it, and we've kind of stayed connected ever since then. Right now I'm working through a program that he runs, and I'll let him tell us more about that. But yeah, I read his book, Why Mindfulness is Not Enough, Unlocking Compassion with Equanimity. And I found his book at a really great time because you guys know I'm all about self-care and self-love, but that it's a deeper thing. It's not just, getting your nails done. Yes, those things are good to take care of yourself and treat yourself sometimes, but it's a deeper thing than that. So Joey actually really digs into that. That's what he does. So was super thrilled to find him. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicity, and so just connecting, finding him, and I had to share with you guys. So I'll kind of read through this, but I just wanted to let you guys know how we connected, because it opens up to remind you to say hi to strangers when people pass your path, smile, say hello. You never know what message they have for you or how they might impact your life. So Dr. Joey developed and validated one of the world's first psychometric scales that solely focuses on the constructs of equanimity, the Equanimity Barriers Scale, EBS, in 2018. His research, spanning 6 years, includes operational definitions of inner and outer equanimity, relevant for clinical psychology, theoretical models of judgment, and validation of the EBS. He has recently published a book entitled Why Mindfulness is Not Enough, Unlocking Compassion with Equanimity, which is an overview of his research and includes case studies and guided meditations in order to bring equanimity down from the mystical and into the lap of the practical. Dr. Joey, who is a long-term practitioner and spent his early years living in a Tibetan monastic community, believes he has designed a model for everyone to cultivate equanimity. The Equanimity method helps individuals and groups unpack why we discriminate and how to find compassion. Dr. Joey is dedicated to instructing businesses and individuals seeking to improve themselves and their empathy and compassion using Equanimity method. The method is made up of self-assessment and Equanimity Barriers Scale, implementing the 7-step method and guided meditations. So I've been working through Joey's program. I read his book, loved it, but welcome, Joey. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm just going to let you have the floor here. Welcome.
Oh, thanks. That was quite a mouthful for you. Eh? Sounds like quite a lot. Sounds like I'm trying too much. The whole judgment thing is the point of interest, isn't it? About, you know, trying to be non-judgmental, and it starts from that point, you know, because I'm never comfortable with that term, non-judgment. I don't believe we really can be non-judgmental, because we are judgmental, where we do have inherent biases, and, you know, without turning towards those barriers, judgments, and then trying intentionally and consciously trying to allow them to go, we're only ever reinforcing them. So that's where it comes from, this idea that actually not really buying this whole non-judgmental thing, because we do have some form of flavor or tone towards the object or person or thing. And that's where equanimity comes from. It's the categorizations. There are 3 dominating categorizations of everything. You know, you can check up like what you experience. You will categorize into 3. It's either going to be something you like, something you don't like, or something that's neutral. So that there's nothing that doesn't fit into one of those. So that in itself is some form of judgment. The judgment tone, even on a very, very small level. So you have to know that. You have to know that your mind is doing that before you can then work with it or allow it to go. Otherwise, I think it's like not. It's quite subtle, but it's like, instead of not judging the judgments that you are judging, or your mind's projecting that way, and then allowing them to go, that's much therapeutically beneficial for people, and it's much more realistic as well, I think. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's where it starts from. That's why I was quite passionate. I mean, because I'm in healthcare, I'm a lecturer in healthcare, so I was observing someone actually do a lecture, and it was about compassion and it was about judgment, and they were doing all this kind of like lecture on these subjects. And I was like, you know, these are really experiential subjects. And I don't know about you, but when we hear about these things being told or talked about, it's almost impossible to kind of understand it on an intellectual level. You have to feel it. It comes from a different place and space. So there was a disconnect with these kind of big concepts like self-compassion, compassion, empathy, you know, and it's like, are we really getting there? So that's where it started from, the fact that how can we really tell people to be non-judgmental? We're actually inviting people to be like, well, look, you know what's PC, why don't you just cover it up, because you've got to act appropriately, or how society sees you. So it's almost like you're not allowed to have certain judgments. I'm more interested in like getting real nitty gritty in the dirt with why are you judgmental? What do you feel? What do you really feel? You might have some inherent racism in you, or you might have some, you know, some conditioned experience that means you think a certain way, or some past experience that has molded and shaped why you have this flavor. But rather than pretend it's not there, like, let's work with it.
Yeah, I think that's so timely too. Just especially in Canada specifically, like we have the Aboriginal communities, and there's been a big movement educating people on what's been happening with them. So it's really opened up, and you know, there's the Black Lives Matters movement and everything like that. And as you know, a girl who grew up in a community that was mainly white, and a white community, moving to a larger city that is more multicultural and having more experiences, you don't even realize some of the ingrained systems and beliefs and how systems are built specifically for certain groups. So breaking down those barriers is such a common thread right now.
Yeah, it's becoming more apparent, I think, that people are polarized, and actually instead of being non-judgmental, it's almost like we are invited by society and by social media to make real explicit judgments. So it's like, you know, when we like a post, or we're asked to like hang ourselves to a specific post, a flag post, and we're like, who are you in favor of? And, you know, we're always asked to be divisive. And so this concept of being non-judgmental, oh no, let's forget that word, this concept of being equanimous, or having an even mind state towards things, is actually, it's not seen as a cool, or it's not seen as sexy, you know, like the latest trend. It's seen as you actually should be quite explicit with your judgments, and everyone should see them. And I think that's how people then relate to each other. You know, we see people we like or support the same football team or whatever it is, and we form connections based on real superficial stuff. And then we kind of play up to whatever, you know, processes we think is socially acceptable. And so this whole research journey was about tapping into why we are judgmental, or where they come from. So the scale that I've developed has got four domains. And, you know, the idea is we're born and we have judgments. You know, you can see that if you did some tests on babies, you'd see that each one was slightly different. They'd like slightly different things and all this type of stuff, and how they relate to other babies. So it's quite clear we come into the world with a set of biases. And I'm not bothered about going about where that's from, like if it's from God or from accident or whatever. You can just park that there, because that creates a lot of division as it is. But, you know, if you just say, well, we come into the world with biases, then society gives us loads of biases, but we also play up to society. So, you know, the need to be liked. I want to be liked. I want people to think I'm a nice person. So I play up to it too. So society gives us biases, and we also shape society or how we think. And particularly this relates to the whole field of mindfulness, because mindfulness is asking you to be present moment orientated, and it even contains the idea of non-judgment. And so, and curiosity towards the experience. So I think that when you replace non-judgment with equanimity, it can become even deeper, because at the level of interaction, there's still lots of judgments going on. You know, we could be judging now, or I don't like Joey's colour t-shirt, or, you know, Jessica's in a car, or this person's got that on. You know, you're making constant little things. If I've said a word you don't like, if I might have swore or something, I don't like Joey. You know, or like, we're constantly. So to be mindful and to be present moment, we need to be more aware of our discrimination mind, which is the three categorizations of, it's like a torchlight of awareness, you know, shining. Whoo, wow, didn't know I was doing that. Because a lot of these can happen unconsciously, you know. So the interactive is this third domain. And then post-experience, when we're reflecting and thinking about how things went, you'll find that we categorize them. So, you know, we'll categorize people. Oh, I like that person. Don't like that person. This person's not, I'm not bothered about them. You know, you're constantly categorizing experience, even post-event. So the whole soup of experience is judged before, during, after, constantly. And then you go in, oh, be non-judgmental, and you're like, okay. And you're following the breath. And you know, I just don't think it's realistic. So that's the idea.
For sure. And could maybe define what equanimity is?
Yeah, so open non-reactivity, open acceptance of non-reactivity towards your own discrimination faculties. Discrimination faculties is complicated language, right? But it just means likes, dislikes, neutralities. So it's what I've been talking about, but it's open acceptance of non-reactivity towards those, but so we can act with compassion for self and others. So it's anchored in compassion too. So it's not like, oh, I'm not going to act on my discrimination faculties for no good reason. You're doing it with an intention. So I do think that brings compassion into the mindfulness mix as well, bit more usefully actually. So that's like an inner equanimity that we can all create. We can all shine the torchlight of awareness on our own mind, consciously make the effort to be non-judgmental towards that, towards your own mind, but so you then action in the world, you know, you're interacting with a sense of compassion and for yourself included, recognizing, oh, got all these judgments, you know. So if I did find I had a judgment within myself that I didn't like, rather than beat myself up and go, oh, you're a naughty person, or why are you thinking about this again, you know, I'd actually be self-compassionate. Oh, I may have had parents or carers that influenced me to think like that. I may have got involved with a bad crowd that influenced me to behave like that, you know. So you let yourself with self-love kind of really, you know, deal with whatever, and then you're compassionate to others as well, because equanimity doesn't stop just internally, it then goes externally. And so I've got an external definition of equanimity here that's kind of the same process, but it's open acceptance towards another's discrimination faculties, so you can respond with patience, compassion and wisdom with them, you know. So the element of patience comes into the mix, because it's like saying, right, okay, well, I don't know Jessica, and really, and so if she's being, you know, crazy to me, or she swears or suddenly says something I don't like, that rather than go, oh, Jessica's a horrible person, I'll never speak to her ever again, you know, I'll just be like, oh, okay, well, what's happening in her mind to make her react so, you know, passionately towards her discrimination faculties that she seems the need to behave like that? I'm going to be compassionate to Jessica and be like, oh, what's going on? It might be temporary, or it might be like, look, she's conditioned the way that, so you didn't really deep down mean that. Because I do believe that deep down, none of us are, you know, born inherently bad or gloomy or evil. I think it's all created by society and conditioned that way. So that patience is critical when you're dealing with people you don't like or that annoy you, you know. Conflict resolution, this is huge for that equanimity, because I think we're really good at compassion for the two categories. Those we're not thought about, that's quite easy, because you're like, okay, give them the benefit of the doubt, I'll be compassionate to them. And then the people you like obviously are compassionate to. But then the difficult people, we kind of turn the compassion tap off. And it's like, but we still go around and go, I'm a compassionate person. But we're not. We're just compassionate to certain categories that are nice to us. You know, it's all about the self. And your ego gets bigger alongside it. So does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. And then ending with the ego comment is, you know, I think a big thing too. The ego is just something that we're all dealing with all the time. So I think the self-awareness part of it, like, truly is what self-care is about. It's that growth and identifying, like, every day, how can I get better, be better, learn, grow. So it's all so interesting. And
yeah, I totally agree. Miranda's put something in the chat. It makes me think of the concept, if you can name it, you can tame. Yeah, that's totally true in regards to emotional judgment. So open acceptance of your emotional response and how that connects to open acceptance. Yeah, I'd say that's totally true. The naming is the understanding and the awareness. That's the wisdom element. So by being, you know, just that very subtle, simple act of understanding categorization of the process, you are then engaged on a different therapeutic journey. Because I think the danger is, if you don't have equanimity and there's no concept of likes, dislikes, neutralities, then when we're trying to be non-judgmental or whatever, we are potentially suppressing or withdrawing thoughts. You go, oh, I shouldn't be like that. You know, you're suppressing it down, and then that might lead to an emotional reaction later on, or whatever. Because there's always that analogy, isn't there, of, you know, people who are trying to be nice, they put up with a lot of crap, and then it's like a volcano, and then suddenly, you know, all months of hard work's gone, and they're like, rah. And so that could be potentially because there's a lot of stuff happening to us, and we're not choosing to acknowledge how much it hurts us. But, you know, in the name of compassion, which isn't really true, we're kind of just suppressing it. We're not being compassionate to ourselves with that. So self-care really intertwines with equanimity so well.
So I'm working through your program through the Knock Collective, and I like it because I feel like it's a program that you can go through it multiple times, and it's a good like self-check and alignment. So do you want to talk a little bit about your program that I'm going through and what that is all about?
Yeah, sure. So he created this program with this American organization, Knock, and they're all about healthy lifestyle and to do with eating right and healthy relationship with food, etc. But it's not the classic type of diet in terms of fad diet type thing, very much focusing on the psychology of why we choose what we choose and our relationships with habits. So they invited me to do this course really because I think it sets the scene of good psychology. So in this context, you know, it's looking at our relationship with our own self. And so I do feel like there's a big stereotype of well-being people and teachers and everything that are quite a bit syrupy, or they use certain flowery language, and I think it puts a lot of people off. And so what I try to be is kind of as down to earth as possible. And I've just designed this 6-week program where it's progressive. Like, first week is all about how to become present and this different mode of being, you know, stabilizing the mind. That's a rarity in itself. You could do, you know, whole programs just around that, but that's like the first week. So each week is aimed at tapping into an aspect of your mind state and giving you the tools and skills to be able to progressively build up towards equanimity, eventually, you know, culminating in this well-rounded awareness puzzle. A little bit like cogs, each cog spins the other cog, and the whole, when we talk about well-being, sometimes we're only referring to one small aspect of it, but it's all interrelated and interconnected. And so I feel like this program, it's called Overcoming Emotional Imbalance, is almost like a program that everyone should do as a preliminary practice before then specializing in what they want to go into afterwards. So, you know, it's got mind stabilization, then it's got body awareness, then it's got self-compassion, then it's got equanimity, then it's got looking at barriers and habits and really making it as life-like as possible, you know, down to earth. Because it's good to talk about this stuff. Yeah. It really is. And there's lots and lots of people there's millions of books about it and everything, but I think down to earth stuff, you know, we need to know this stuff when we're in the supermarkets. We need to know this stuff when we're with our partners, our annoying children and cats and dogs. And we need to know how to relate to the basics, going to work, you know, our attention spans, our mobile devices. Like, we need to integrate it with otherwise it becomes a bit of a separate thing in the distance. Like, we're always trying to, well-being or mindfulness over there, compassion, never quite feeling that we're going to get there. So we need to look at what's around us, which is why I like looking at barriers, because, you know, I've got my own barriers, and it's like, I know what's stopping me sometimes, but I still do it anyway. But I think that's okay to know that, and to be aware of that is healthier than pretending that doesn't exist and then setting yourself up for something that you're just going to fail at.
For sure. Yeah,
I think, a bit of sense.
Yeah, for me, like, you know, I just relate it to so many people have anxiety and, you know, emotional imbalances these days. But specifically for me, like, I know when I'm experiencing anxiety, I have to do like a gut check, and it's kind of like, that's what I feel like your program is, a really good like life gut check of like putting yourself in line. And so it's like, why am I feeling this way? Am I in alignment? And what are the barriers and things like that? So I find it really relatable, and like you said, down to earth. It's not flowery language. It's realistic stuff that helps you kind of get into the nitty gritty of yourself, as you'd say. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's great. I think the conversation has become more open to well-being, self-care, compassion. Like, you know, about 30, 40 years ago, it wasn't really a conversation. So the world's come on leaps and bounds in terms of the open acceptance towards talking about all this stuff. But still, we're not seeing the statistics to back that up. We're seeing worse statistics. We're seeing mental health going awry, you know. So something's missing. And perhaps it's to do with the applicability of these concepts and the real understanding. I think we can get a superficial understanding. And the problem is the intellectual mind reaches out and goes, oh, I know that now. And then they forget it, or they just, you know, they think that it's like a tick box and they never have to entertain it. But now it's the really getting that seeped into a feeling experiential level takes a lot of time, practice and hard work. And that's what we don't like. No one wants hard work because we want instant gratification. You know, I want to check my phone, and I need constant information, and, you know, I need to constantly feeling nice things. And it's an unrealistic picture of what life's like life is difficult. There is always going to be some difficulties. You cannot escape that. So I think sometimes we might look at these concepts, go like, oh yeah, I'm all about that. And then after it not being instantaneous, then going, oh, it wasn't right. I'll try somewhere else. And so I think you need to put the groundwork in and plant the seeds. And that, you know, that famous analogy of the garden, you know, of the weeds in the garden, you know, if you're just taking off the top, but you need to dig right down, but you also need to like fertilize, you need to add water, you need to put healthy seeds in, you need to nurture and grow, come back over seasons for that flower to grow. There's no put it in overnight and the next morning, is it there yet? No, it's not going to be there yet. So I think we're in the middle of the attention economy, where, you know, our attention is the thing that everyone's trying to get. So we need to be more conscious of how to fight against that.
As I battle not to look at my phone or my digital watch, or yeah.
Yeah, every day a little mini battle with attention, you know, phone checks, just being aware of how many times you check the phone, being aware of how many times you are seeking some form of distraction or pleasure. Because that's the other thing with equanimity. It's like we're trying so hard to always be in this pleasure one, thinking that that's going to bring us lasting happiness. But the pleasure, as soon as we get it, you want something else. As soon as you get that kind of nice experience or emotion, you know, we just want it to prolong it. But it's actually not reality, unfortunately. It goes. And so then we're upset when the nice thing's gone. So with equanimity, it kind of teaches you a little bit of like, well, yeah, you can enjoy the nice stuff and really embrace it, but then also have that wisdom to allow it to go. Because the fact that everything's changing constantly and nothing stays the same is a massive teaching we're not happy with, because it implies a little bit level of like, oh, everything's going to go, so why bother? But really, it's not the case. It's with awareness. If you truly get to that, then you've got an inner state of peace and tranquility with everything. So no matter what experience comes up, you're entertaining it, you're applying wisdom to it, and then you're being consciously comfortable with letting that go. It's quite profound, that. And then with your knowledge of then like being aware of how much your mind's seeped into different distraction things, then you can regain that power, empowerment of yourself and your own relationship with yourself, the torchlight becomes a bit stronger. And then you can really kind of embody the kind of values that you want to sign up to.
So yeah, I know you mentioned kind of how you got into this study, but I'm just so curious, like how you got into all of this and what you're doing in terms of like continuing practice or education. Like for me, myself, diving into your program was, I would say, really my first experience with meditation even, and mindfulness on that level. So I'm curious where you're at now.
So I got into all this because my parents were into mindfulness. They come from this Buddhist background, this kind of Tibetan influences, the Dalai Lama, etc., like tremendous teachers. And I was like, wow, like these people are always so happy, they're smiling, they're always compassionate. And in times of my life when I've gone through distress, which is often, I've always found myself going there to find peace. And so what I realize is that, well, most of us actually do that our entire lives. Like we wait until there's stress and some massive problem in life and then go, oh, try meditation. By then it's way too late and it doesn't have any effect because we've not built up the skills to do that. So we're like, oh, meditation didn't work. So we just carry on being a bit miserable. So I really think that this is should be seen as a preventative tool of mental health, like an absolute bare necessity of, I need to build my mind like this. So when stuff happens, not if, when stuff happens, I can respond in a healthier way. And so that's what took me to this journey of the PhD, of recognizing that mindfulness is amazing. And the buzzwords and the talk of neuroscience and all the brain stuff is like really amazing to see. But also there's many other teachings that have come from that ancient wisdom that have not been talked about and actually can go a bit further. Hence the title of the book, you know, why is it not enough? Equanimity, let's talk about that. So I think it's this connection of all the different pieces that inspires me, because I'm someone who likes to talk about things in the language I understand, which is, you know, Western audience. I'm a, you know, relatively young guy that also goes to the pub and things like that. And so I want to talk about it there, rather than being, you know, either a monk and a nun or this Western person. Like we can get quite peaceful by just understanding things and applying it in different ways. So that's where I'm at now, is trying to communicate this to anyone who's interested. I'm trying to do courses. I've got equanimity-based compassionate courses coming up, overcoming emotional imbalance, and then book talks and things like that. So I just enjoy talking about it and enjoy the feedback and understanding that people, how they apply it in their own situations. Yeah. Does that answer the question, do you reckon?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I just find it it's so interesting because I just see like a lot of parallels. So I'm again like always interested in what people are reading and getting into. In terms of the topic, do you have any book recommendations for people who are interested in the topic? I've read your book.
So yeah, different books. Off the top of my head, what I'd have to do is I'll have to send you some resources or something. Maybe you can send it out to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously loads of stuff now. There's quite famous people out there that have got new books coming out. Brené Brown and Atlas of the Heart or something. That's a new one. Yeah. There's John Kabat-Zinn. Anything by him I really find lovely. People like Tara Brach and all that lot, but there's kind of key figures that kind of talk about well-being and all that type of stuff. But I do think no one's talking about equanimity that much. So I do think it's the missing piece. But yeah, it's one of those. I don't know if it'll really kick on, because I don't know, it needs people to like enjoy it and share it, and which is why, you know, I think you're one of the first people that bought one of the books, and then you bought two. And it was like from my website as well, which is quite rare because everyone just goes, I'll go Amazon because it's cheaper. It's like $2 cheaper, I'm going to Amazon, you know, but you buy it from me and it was like, oh God, it felt so nice. And it was like someone's got all the way from Canada. There's this personal connection. So I enjoy what I do is sign every book and like send it off, because it's like, it brings me a bit of joy, because it's like, hopefully they might read Equanamee and understand a tiny bit of, and then find it useful. So there's lots of resources. There's apps like Headspace, obviously, and Insight Time is a good free app to download because they've got loads and loads of teachers that are giving off loads of free stuff, which is amazing. It's actually a really competitive space because every other person's like a well-being expert almost. And that's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, but you got to check up a little bit around their experience and whether they walk the walk. So, you know, I guess there's full-on people and there's less full-on people. I'm probably somewhere in the middle, early middle, you know, about trying to make sense of it all. But there's some real people out there that are quite remarkable. And yeah, if I think of any resources, I'll let you know. But I'd say the two apps are quite good.
I think it brings back to the beginning of the conversation too, as it's a crowded space, or becoming more popular, and being aware of people's biases. So when you talk about looking into their backgrounds and do they walk the walk and stuff, it's really making sure, like, are you connecting with someone who is, you know, doing the work and not harboring those biases or spreading those biases as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess how self-aware and how honest people are. I think honesty and transparency is the measure of whether or not you can. I do think you can learn from everyone. So there's not a single person out there you can't learn from. But I guess we've all got different experiences to share. And that's the beauty, is that we're all kind of experts of our own experiences because we're the only ones who've had them. And then to able to communicate that in a way that connects with others is a bit of a gift. So yeah. Yeah,
for sure. I know about, I usually will go to an author's website and try and purchase the book directly from them, because as I know from my experience on Amazon, they don't pay the authors. So, yeah. Or it's pennies on the dollar anyways, but.
Yeah, no, that's really cool for doing that. There's the movement of like eating local and buying local and stuff like that. There's lots of great stuff out there. But yeah, again, you always have to look at statistics to see how much is that, because our worlds are quite small on social media, and we've got small arenas of all the people we like, so we'll never see kind of things we like anyway, and then it's very easy to assume that's happening everywhere. And you know, that's where social media in some ways kind of misrepresents reality out there. But it's in one way it's nice, isn't it? Because when you do go to the actual media, it's like full of doom and gloom. And if you've got your social media of all things you like, it's brilliant. And I guess it's just ensuring that there's the balance of everything, and just being aware that in the world, statistics look like we're up against it. I mean, I'm seeing more and more people talk about well-being, but more and more people getting mentally ill. So I don't know. There's something happening there, isn't there? So it's looking at stats and evidence out there to be like, that's the picture.
Right. I would like to do a spin the wheel. So as you mentioned, I bought 2 copies of your book. I wanted to give away a copy to someone who logged on live with us today. So I have I'm going to share my screen. I have a little spin the wheel that I'll do with everyone who's kind of on here now.
That's fun.
And then I'll ship a copy. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go.
That's really fun.
Charity, I'll be sure to send you out a copy of Joey's book that I have signed for you.
Thank you.
No problem. Do you want to share a link, or if there's anyone who wants to order a copy of your book right from you?
That'd be great. There's no pressure, by the way. I'm not going to judge anyone. I'm non-judgmental, obviously, but yeah, I'll secretly be like, oh well, I did a talk and no one bought a book. But honestly, please don't feel like you have to. But yeah, there is the website. I put it there, equanimee.com. It's great that Charity's got that there. Yeah.
Yeah, and Charity, you're in the US. Whereabouts in the US are you?
Indiana.
Indiana. Okay.
Charity, I'm doing a course from the Indiana Buddhist Center called Equanimity Compassionate Action. And that's going to start in March. I've got the date here. It's every Sunday for 6 weeks. And it's, yeah, Indiana, there's the connection there.
Oh, really? I'll check that out.
Where is it, March?
Look at that synchronicity.
You don't hear too much about that in Indiana, so that's surprising.
Yeah, IB Indiana. I'm trying to find a link just now, but yeah, that's quite interesting.
Does anyone have any questions that they want to ask Joey?
No questions, but definitely a comment. I found that extremely informative. I mean, just even that slight idea of taking that second to take that step back and recognize maybe where some of your biases are coming from, like that deep rooting of stuff, like just to take that time to dig is very, very, very interesting and insightful. So I think once you kind of get to those roots, they can probably be pretty scary and probably a little bit I guess, self-recognition as to how you would apply those going forward and make some serious changes. Like, I find that extremely interesting, how it kind of forces you to go back to, oh, I wonder why I feel that way about that, or why I automatically just find that gross or disgusting, or how I may find that not attractive, or where all of those things stem from was, you know, I think is the most interesting part of that. So definitely curious to kind of dig into that. So thank you for that.
That's great. That's a great comment. Yeah, that's totally true. I think that's the other thing, to make it not like fluffy as in this is going to be so nice. Like, yeah, it could be scary, eh? Looking at, wow, this is really me. I guess if you're not looking at where these biases come from, it's like, well, why am I like this? It can cause a little bit of unsettledness. But that's where the other anchoring of mindfulness and compassion will hopefully mitigate that and make it a safe transition rather than just a scary one. But yeah, but that's why at the top of Kabat-Zinn's office in where's it, California, but Massachusetts, there's an office, and he's got a quote of saying that meditation is not for the faint-hearted. Mm-hmm. And it's about, you know, courage. You know, we need to have courage when we're doing self-work. It's not easy, and that's why lots of people won't actually bother with it. But if you're going to do it and you're signing up for it, yeah, bring your hard shovel and your hard hat.
I love that.
I think in this time of upheaval and chaos and hate in the world, it's a good time for us to be aware of equanimity and spread the word. And so, you know, in some ways it feels late to the game because we're in so much turmoil right now, but maybe it's setting us all up for the pendulum to swing the other way. And I like how you aligned it with even the selling of your book and the movement to shop local and be sustainable, and then to be non-judgmental. It just all works together to build community, right?
Totally.
Thanks. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Belinda. Yeah, no, totally. It's a great comment. I think so. Yeah, it's the movement against the norm, and the norm's obviously not working that well. Because, I mean, we're at global war pretty much. So, I mean, you can argue then, look, we've always had wars, but really, I think with social media, the rise of polarization is something that to be quite wary of. And so anything that is against that is a healthy thing, even if it's just in the name of balance, you know, of just rebalancing some of the stuff that we're against. Yeah, so thanks for that comment.
So if people who walk away from this call today, how would you hope that they summarize what they heard today? So when we talk about spreading the message and putting the word out there, how would you hope that anyone listening today would spread that word? Briefly.
I would definitely say that equanimity is not a term that's common. If you ask someone what it means, everyone's got a different idea and a different opinion. Vague kind of things of, oh, it's something maybe religious or philosophical, but actually it can be used in this secular well-being framework. Everyone can look and entertain this no matter where you come from. And actually it's very therapeutically useful for not only yourself as emotional regulation, but then as a tool to connect with others, foster compassion, strengthen community, social cohesion, conflict resolution. So it's like, I would say, look, it's a mini super skill that no one's ever talked about. This is the next thing. That's why I love it.
And we're at the forefront of it now.
Go forth and yeah. I think what I've been doing, I don't want it to turn into a sales thing, but what I've been doing is, the course that you're on, I think they're 50% off. I mean, it was only $100 to start with, but I've got a code to make it 50% off, so it's only 50. Because really, it's not that much around the money right now. It's almost about, I want people to just be interested and to talk about it. So if anyone's interested in that, then you can share the link of the 50. I think they have to put a code in, knock 50 on the payment screen, and then it goes down to $50. And then you get my ebook with that too. So there's something there that if people are interested in. But yeah, I think just going, and if no sales stuff, that's totally fine. And then just going away with that message is, okay, there's something else in this space that's not been talked about much. I love, if you like it, talk about it. It's quite simple. And you can follow me on social media and everything, and then just see how the message can spread, because I know the book's being translated into Dutch this year, which is great. So the Dutch like it, or one Dutch person likes it. I don't know if the Dutch like it yet, but
amazing. Yeah. So if anyone wants to get in on the course, just let me know. Yeah, Miranda.
I was going to say, I think what he was talking about of like building compassion, strength, and community, like our group, I feel like me being like this group that we have every weekend really tries to foster those qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I might have a different perspective or a different view than Kim or Carissa or Charity, right? But openly listening to other people's perspectives and building that open communication, relationship, acceptance, hearing other people's point of view has built our compassion and resilience and strength and community over Zoom over the past year that I've been a part of this. So I think a lot of things that Dr. Joey's been talking about, we're trying to foster in our little niche market that we have right here. I don't know if anybody else feels that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, it goes back into that community thing. And in terms of community management in such a digital age, managing a community is a huge task, and varying opinions, especially in a divisive time where everything is so divisive and there are different opinions, and being able to, foster and build a community where you encourage openness and trust, but also balancing various opinions and perspectives. I think it just plays into so well, what we do, which is why I was like, who is this guy? We need to talk to him. Yeah.
Hey, can I just say something quick, or are we running out of time?
No, go ahead.
I think I'm about chapter 5 or 6 in your book. I'm listening to the audiobook, and so it's taking me a while because I have to keep pausing because I really am enjoying listening to it. And I just finished that quiz for your scale that you had, so I really got to dig deep. And I have honestly always thought I was pretty self-aware and pretty awesome. But I did that quiz and I'm like, turns out no. I have a lot of work to do. And I mean, I was already planning on taking your course because I just know from the first little bit of your book, I thought it'd be amazing. But it's incredible scale that you use that really allowed me to really look at myself. And in all honesty, I'm joking saying I'm not awesome. It's just allowed me to be able to really
sure
look
you
at
are.
myself in a different way. And I really enjoyed it. I had a really incredible conversation with my husband about it this morning. He is very big into mindfulness. We've both taken very many courses. He's more so than I, meditation every day. But this is not a topic or a word either of us have heard of. And he has been meditating for years. So it was really fascinating and I'm really enjoying it. And I definitely agree that it's not a topic that is as spoken about, because I think there's a lot of layers to it. And I think it kind of starts to confuse people. And I think it requires you to dig deeper than what most people, meditation alone makes you dig deep, but you can kind of just put it to the side. But this is, I think it's the real work behind mindfulness is what your book really seems to me to be the basis of it. So anyways, I'm just a fangirl, I guess. And I have following you on the Insight timer now. So thank you.
That's so cool, Chantal. Thanks so much. You know, it is a sometimes a lonely space when you're promoting something, and then the amount of like talks I've done about it and everything, and then I get so excited, and then I leave, and then it's like nothing happens, or you don't hear from anyone, and you don't know if even anyone's bought a book because they're all buying from Amazon. So there's that kind of thing of so I've questioned it many times, like, is the angle right, you know, is that type of thing. So to hear positive feedback, which it is happening, and it probably, if you know, I put it on a sheet and looked at it all, it'd be like, wow, okay. But you know, because I'm also got self-doubt, etc., that it's needed. So thank you very much for sharing. And yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, definitely keep doing what you're doing. I think it's well communicated. Your book, amazing. It's definitely tangible, easy to bring out into the world and share. I definitely resonated with all of it right away. So I'm happy that so many other people I've already been able to influence. And I agree, once, like, writing in a book, I shared, you know, some traumatic experiences, and you're just like, okay, why am I doing this? What am I doing? And then is it helping anyone? What do people care? And yeah, that self-doubt is always there. So I'm glad that you were able to get some positive feedback from, you know, just one ripple of me buying your book online. You know, it's already rippling out this way, and that's just one person. So keep going.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. Thanks for inviting me, and nice to connect with everyone. And yeah, maybe we have more conversations in the future.
For sure. I know I was talking with the Knock Collective, because I just said I love, you know, what you're doing. So we'll see the future. Yeah.
Great. That'd be cool. Yeah.
So if anyone wants to order Joey's book, he put his link to his website there, but again, you can always message me. His 6-week course, balancing emotions. I can drop you the link for that. He also has a coupon code if you need some affordability on that. And other than that, yeah, I mean, bring kind of our chat into your day, into your week and your year ahead, and maybe think about kind of what we talked about today, and then maybe even we have a follow-up conversation, or you know, dive deep into it now that the topic's been introduced to more of you. But
that's all absolutely perfect. The last thing I'll say is the 6-week Indiana Buddhist Center course. It starts March 3rd. And I think that's actually quite reasonable too. I think they put it at $120 for 6 weeks, which is quite low as well. And that's going to be live via Zoom every Sunday, and it's American time. They've made it fit, so I think it's good for you guys, I imagine. I'll just put that in. I have to do a bit of research there on the exact details. I haven't shared it on my social media yet, but I know it's being shared around. And they, you know, mindfulness based everything is the language that people are using. So I'm creating this equanimity-based compassionate action as a kind of look. There's other stuff to look at. So this is going to be like the first one of those. Yeah.
Awesome. I hope it goes well for you. And thank you so much for joining us on a weekend. We really appreciate it. And thank you everybody for showing up. I have recorded this call, so I will upload it. And then once the recording is live, I will share it with you, Joey, and as well with our community here.
Cool, great. That's awesome. Well, I've got to shoot off now. So nice to meet everyone, and take care, and thanks for having me. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Awesome. Hey guys.
Well, that was so cool. That
Yeah.
was the best.
That was really good. Thanks, Jess.
So I just want to kind of re-illustrate. Obviously, you know, I've already read the Celestian Prophecy. It's like my book, but it's about synchronicities. So I just finished it again, but it's just a reminder of staying open to synchronicity, and it ties really well into equanimity and mindfulness and the world and energy. Like that was me seeing, oh, someone liked my post because of a hashtag, and I went in and I was like, oh, he's an author, you know, and being like, oh, I wonder what he's writing about. How did he find my book? And why did we connect? There's thousands and thousands of authors on Instagram. Like why did specifically I connect with him? And so it's not just acknowledging it and blowing it off, it's taking that he said the word courage a couple of times. It's having that courage to like reach out to that person or start a conversation, or, you know, when you see someone in the elevator and you make eye contact and you look away, like saying hi. Maybe that person has something that they have self-doubt and they have this great message for the world, but they don't have the courage to share it. Or it's being that open-minded, being that messenger in the world, and you know, having equanimity. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed the call this week. And you know, I would love to find more amazing guests like that. So if you ever are, you know, connected with someone, let me know and we'll get them in here. But I stay connected with Joey, and honestly, his course is awesome. It is all online, but
Those are extremely heavy.
hi, Sarah.
Hey, sorry guys.
That's okay. His course is like online. He has this book, you can download it. And then it just works you through like 6 weeks. So there's a meditation, there's kind of like a little video. It's just kind of like you're sitting there and he's chatting with you. He has like a YouTube video that you watch, and you do it at your own pace. So like for me, it's every Monday morning, I kind of open it up and I start my week with it. And then it ends with a tea and a mindfulness meditation or some sort of meditation. And that's kind of, you can kind of check back in with it every week. And as you go through the program, you work through all the various things. So I've really been enjoying it. So anyone who wants to do that, just let me know. And yeah, awesome. Happy Saturday, guys. My laptop lived.
Sunday.
Oh, you see? Look, now all week I'm going to be, all week I'm going to be a day off.
Sunday fun day.
Okay, stop.